what I've seen is roughly 60% of small businesses in the United States have been attacked by a security threat. And it's terrifying because of that 60%, nearly 40% will experience ransomware attacks that they can't pay for. And during
Mm.
that time, a ransomware attack is shutting down their systems.
Hey, Anna, do you think people are listening?
Yeah, why wouldn't they be? We make business so fun.
Don't we? In that case, let's introduce ourselves.
Hey, it's Anna and Selena and the 15-ish minute coffee chat podcast. Talking business doesn't have to be boring, so dive into our coffee chat conversations and learn something new for your small business.
Hey, everybody, welcome to season 15 of the 15-ish minute coffee chat, a conversation providing tips for every entrepreneur and business owner.
This week's guest, Michelle Robleto, founder and CEO of Security Raptors and a U.S. Army veteran, shares how cybersecurity impacts every business, no matter the size. With over 16 years of experience protecting companies and government agencies, she's now helping small businesses build smarter security without needing a tech team. We break down the biggest risks facing small business owners today and how to fix them. Michelle's going to share easy, practical tips any entrepreneur can start using right now. Plus, why your mindset matters just as much as your tools. So, if you've ever felt overwhelmed or unsure about securing your business, this conversation is your wake up call in the best way.
I am really excited for this conversation. Well done, Anna. She had a cough in her, but she rallied through her intro.
Man, my eyes are watering. I really did rally through that intro, but yes. So yes, Selena, I'm excited for this conversation because we, as website designers, one of the things we do as part of our marketing, our fractional CMO offerings is we help build and design websites. But as website designers, security is always a question people are asking about. What if I get a hacker? What if something like this happens? It's hard to know exactly what to tell those small business owners. So I am excited to have Michelle on here to really dig a little deeper into that conversation.
But not even just that, like for like cybersecurity, right? Most things we're doing digitally, right? So you're taking payment portals online. Maybe you're going to, you know what I mean? You're collecting information. So your data is out there. So you just need to be really conscious of what your business is like open to. And I'll share just a very quick story. My mommy blog was hacked many moons ago, and it was the first eye-opening where I thought, I'm just a mommy blog. There's barely any hits coming here, but I was like, I was a practice. I'm sure I was, right? And they just did one post. And I remember being part of a big mommy blog community. And so we always shared our stuff. And so when I had shared that link before I had left for an appointment, from that time I shared the link to leaving, they had hacked the post. They'd redone the whole page. It said, you shouldn't leave your vulnerabilities open because this is what could happen. You're lucky we didn't do more. On my page, on my mommy blog. And so it just really opened up a lot of matrix type thoughts of like things that you have to do to lock down, but it did for other things, right? Being careful with your phones, be careful with your emails, being careful with all these things. It's not just your website. There's many things you have to be careful for. So, okay, anyway, so this is why we're super excited to have Michelle on, because I think this is one of those scary things that a lot of business owners don't want to think about, but they should.
Absolutely. So, yeah, let's ask him our call to action question, right? Because this is the question of the day.
Yeah.
If it'll show up. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Okay, so do you think your business is cyber secure? And really, this comes down to what Selena was just saying. Are you just ignoring it, like stick your head in the sand, ostrich style? I'm just going to pretend nothing's going to happen until it happens. Or are you actively ensuring that what you're doing is best practices, from two-factor authentication to any number of things, which I don't know, Michelle's here to share about, not me.
Yeah, she should be excited. We went to a conference and Anna and I grabbed these like free Google Cloud security keys that were given to attendees. And I was like, I don't know, but these should be good. This is probably an important thing to have. So anyway, yeah, tell us in the comments, like Anna said.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
No, Yeah. Do you know? Do you have more to say other than a thumbs up and down? Just let us know. Okay. So let's bring up the slides and we will share this fabulous Michelle. So, Michelle is the founder and CEO of Security Raptors and a U.S. Army veteran with over 16 years in cybersecurity. After helping protect Fortune 500 companies and agencies like NASA, she now empowers small business owners to take charge of their digital safety without the overwhelm. No biggie. That wasn't just like one of the biggest names in all of the world. Like, doesn't know NASA. My goodness. So I'm gonna bring Michelle on up. Hi,
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 Michelle.
Selena. Hi, Anna.
Michelle. First of all, NASA, wow, that's a huge deal. And that must have been super stressful too at some points, right? Because that's a big job.
It was definitely stressful, but also very exciting. Like being able to say that you played a part in securing literal
Yes.
global science and rocket ships is amazing.
Like seriously. Yeah. And also, thank you for your service as a US Army veteran, as fellow military spouses. Me and Anna love when our guests double as a military affiliated community member, and we're also Army. Go Army. We love that. Did you do that also in the Army when you were in with cybersecurity, like your MOS or your job or
It was. So I was in Signal and I decided, you know what? Cybersecurity is a lot cooler than radio.
okay. I love that. Okay, before we get, I know I'm asking a bunch of questions. Let's do our coffee cup selfie, whatever mug you have. We take this imaginary coffee photo. Oh, I love yours. Oh, I love yours. That's my daughter's favorite movie. Okay, on three, 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right, guys. Cheers. Here's a great combo. We are going to move into this pose, and Anna is going to get us rolling with these fabulous questions.
I am. Okay. So, Michelle, our first question that we want to talk about is just the basics of cybersecurity for small businesses. So, how vulnerable are small business owners to cybersecurity attacks?
Okay, so it's interesting that it was mentioned earlier that even a mommy blog with very few hits, folks are targeting. So a lot of businesses I've worked with, they don't realize that they are a target. And unfortunately, anyone who connects to the internet, tries to run a business, is a target because you have technology out there and websites and emails that are accessible to the general public. That makes you a target. What I've seen is roughly 60% of small businesses in the United States have been attacked by a security threat. And it's terrifying because of that 60%, nearly 40% will experience ransomware attacks that they can't pay for. And during
Mhm.
that time, a ransomware attack is shutting down their systems. Their customers can't access their data. Their employees can't work, and they still have to pay these employees. And then they end up going out of business, which is something that's very sad because they don't realize they were even a target. So, like a restaurant or an optometrist or a small blogger, they don't realize this until it's happened to them.
Michelle, can you just really quickly, for brand newbies to cybersecurity, can you tell everyone what a ransomware attack is?
Yes. So a ransomware attack is essentially you've downloaded something that should not be on your system and it starts encrypting all of your data so you can't access it. The really scary part about this is ransomware spreads. So if you have one laptop that's connected to your network, it starts spreading through all of your employees and all of your systems. So you can't access any of these tools. You can't use your coworker's device, for example, to get into your email because your system has been compromised. And a lot of times, what folks do that are the threat actors is they'll have ransomware on the machine and they'll say the only way to get this back is paying us a ransom. It can be $100,000. In some cases, it's tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Typically, it's money that organizations don't have. And even if you pay the ransom, they still have access to that data. They still had your everything that you had for customers. They still have your bank information, your emails. That does not negate the fact that someone who shouldn't have access to this information has it.
You watch, and it's funny because people think, oh, it's only in the movies, right? Because you see these big blockbuster movies made where they've taken down like the government's website and all these things, but it's an actual true threat, right? And I know I've read it in tech news, certain things where you see some companies get taken offline for a couple of hours and the only way to get it back was to pay, which is crazy, but it actually happens. So anyway, thank you for explaining that ransomware, because I don't think people are like, but I'm only worth $1,000 a year. You're like,
It
oh yeah.
it does happen. One of the most surprising instances of ransomware I helped with a florist. You would think, who is targeting a florist? But they have a lot of information. They have bank accounts from every customer, they have addresses, they have emails, they have times that people are going to be home. And a florist had a ransomware attack, and the ransom they were asking for was $300,000 to get their data back, to get their systems back online and be operational. They even with cybersecurity insurance, they weren't able to cover that, and they ended up losing their business because it
Wow.
wasn't something they thought about. Who thinks a florist is going to be targeted, right?
Yeah, no, like I brought up, like my mommy blog, I literally do. And I wrote a blog about it after. I just imagined this like school of hackers, and that's like kindergarten coming to see if you can get in, see if you can change the code on just this one post. And that's what I envisioned. But that is wild. Anna, can you like you just going in, you want to make things beautiful with flowers and help people celebrate or life something, and then somebody says, I'm gonna make life difficult for you.
Yeah. I feel like the examples you're giving are people that are collecting data from others, right? At least for ransomware. But I know that there's other threats out there. Like, what other kinds of threats are you seeing hit small businesses? This one feels like a really big one, right? Where, hey, you're going to lose your business if you can't pay off these attackers. But what are some of the other things you're seeing happening in small business cyber world that business owners need to be aware of?
Definitely phishing. Phishing is a huge one. So they'll either convince you to click on links and download malicious software, or the other one is posing as either your bank or even your email provider and saying you need to change your email or your bank login so that they can get access to your accounts. And then they'll start taking small amounts of money, or in your email where they're starting to take your contacts, or if you have your email set up with potentially you have spreadsheets and Google that are collecting all of your customer data or copies of your invoices. They're going in and downloading this data without you even realizing that you had given your password and login credentials to a phishing email. And that's happening, unfortunately, a lot to small business owners because they're doing all of these different jobs. They're moving really fast, they're stressed out, and they're getting these emails that are now, it used to be a little bit easier to identify them before you could use AI to make this sound like everyone around you. But now with AI modifying the emails, it does look like it came from Google. And it does have the sense of urgency that doesn't allow people to pause and breathe and think, wait a second, should I be clicking on this? Should I be entering my login details in this email?
It makes you almost afraid to do anything, right? Like at some point, you're like, I have to verify everything that comes my direction that's asking for information or a link click, which I think is just probably a best practice just in and of itself is stop, think it through before you click. We just had one of our clients send us an email that said, hey, by the way, this was a phishing attack sent via email and it looked like a legit email, but they investigated a little bit because something felt a little off about it. And there was one small difference in the domain that allowed them to figure out that it was, it was not a for real thing coming from the company they thought it was coming from. But she said she very nearly hit that. And as website people, they were just letting us know, hey, keep an eye on our site just in case, right? Kind of thing. Anyway, it happens. It does happen quite a bit.
And I will tell you, this is why my stepdad is. I pay cash only, and I only have a landline, no cell phone. This is my stepdad. So Anna, let's dive into the next, because I know I could actually continuously ask more questions here, but let's get to the other questions, and then maybe we can do some bonus ones if we have time.
Definitely. So, Michelle, we wanted you, now that we've talked about all the terrible things that are out there, or at least some of the terrible things that are out there, can you give us a couple of small steps that business owners can take to improve security, like starting today? Like, really, what are those first things they need to start thinking about?
Yes, definitely. I would say one of the most important things you can do is to go through all of your sensitive accounts. So identify what collects data, which accounts you have that collect data, and which accounts you have that have payment information. And then start implementing multi-factor authentication. So every time you log into your email, for example, it should be prompting you, is this you? Are you actually logging into your email from whatever address? Every time you log into your bank or you accept a payment or you're logging into your accounting systems, anything that touches customer data, like your CRM, for example, is it verifying through either a multi-factor authentication method of a text message, you have to enter a code, a push notification on your phone, or a authenticator tool on your phone, where you have to go that extra step. So when there are phishing emails, for example, that can help you in that area because it's going to prompt and say, this person now has your email account, is this actually you logging in now that you shared it? So that's huge. The second piece is updating your devices. So not just your laptop, you got to update your Chrome browser, your Safari browser, whatever you're using, keep it updated. There is an actual option that says auto update. Just do that and don't worry about it. It'll keep updating it for you, as well as your cell phone. So I've seen a lot of small business owners and they're like, I update my laptop once a month. And I'm like, okay, what about your phone that you're using to access every single bank account you have or your email when communicating with your employees? And they're like, wait, I need to update my phone. So yes, they do have to be updated. And what's funny about that too is folks don't realize the browsers don't update if you don't close them. It is okay to turn off your laptop, to
Right.
shut it, close
Yes.
every tab and start over. You can literally click a button that says restore before the update and you'll get all your pages back up in the same order. So it's okay to
Yes.
do that.
Michelle, thank you for saying about just that first tip is so simple. And almost every platform offers that when you're logging in. And they say, hey, create a tooth. And sometimes because we're like, I don't have time, we hit skip. We don't set
Mhm.
that up. And I think this is a reminder right here how very simple. Just do it. Hit the thing so you get a text prompt or an email prompt or whatever, just to make it more safe. Even with our social media clients, we tell them with Instagram, hi, we're going to make sure that you set up the two factor. It's just too easy to get hacked. And when you have that set up, like you said, and I know, right, when you say a lot of times we don't set that up is because we're like, oh, that's too bothersome. I don't want to do that when I sign in. And I'm also very religious. Every time the little yellow alert says Google update, I was like, yes, I don't know. I'm so paranoid. So paranoid. I don't know. Anna, what would you say to that?
I can appreciate the two-factor authentication. And as a small business owner, I think it comes to more than just looking at what's convenient for you, right? If you're taking customer data, you have to be thinking about security for your customers. It can be a selling point depending on what you're doing. Hey, I make sure that every cybersecurity opportunity I have, your data is safe and secure and protected in my business. That's a big deal for a customer. I know, imagine how many times we've gotten those, hey, by the way, you've been part of a data breach, right? And how frustrating that is because you don't know what that means for you as just an individual consumer, right? Now you're setting up all of your credit check things and all of this and all of that. And it makes you not want to do business with that company anymore. It makes you want to walk away and be like, you didn't take care of me in that sense. So I really like the tips because I feel like those are two very simple things that you can do. And then just because we have a little bit of time, dig into like kind of a bigger one. What would be your next big tip if you were to say, hey, if there's only one thing you do for your business that's like super cybersecurity oriented, other than these like individual little ones you just think, what would you tell someone to do for their business?
Figure out how you're backing up your sensitive data. So you have to have it replicated somewhere, whether that's using external hard drives, secure cloud environment, something. So with all of the ransomware attacks I mentioned, the only way you can recover yourself is to have backups of your data, and they have to be tested. They have to be continually propagating so that they work. That does require extra effort. You do have to figure out how you're doing this, how you're going to do it across your organization. And that's different for each company depending on what they want to do, whether they want to be only using their devices or if they do want to move to a kind of a cloud supported environment. But that is a big step in ensuring that your data is protected, your customer data is protected, and everything across your organization is recoverable if an accident happens.
Can you just for just a brief minute talk about cloud security and what that looks like? Because I know that is a go-to for a lot of small businesses, right? Is just to upload it to the cloud. But the cloud is like this nebulous nothingness.
I just feel like that's the only option nowadays. I don't know if there's other, that's the main source of secure, but anyway,
For
go
us
ahead.
digital dinosaurs, some of us still do have external hard drives, Selena.
Tied up to your fax machine. I love it. Okay.
That's awesome. So one thing that is really important to note is, let's say we're talking about Google and you're uploading everything to Google Drive, and that's going to be your cloud environment just for data replication purposes. You have to make sure that you have set all of that information to only within your organization and only to the folks that need access. By default, anyone can access Google's information once it goes into the drive. So it does require extra effort, and you can do a security audit yourself. You just go to your drive, look at the access levels, and determine, oh, wait, this says public. That's not right. This shouldn't have a little globe that says everyone in the world can access this.
I love that you said this. I'm going to just plug a former guest, and I love her. She's like a Google expert. She actually created a Google Avenger thing. And so her name is Dara Sklar. I love her. And Michelle, I'll have to send you this. So I would love your take on her tool that she created. But you run it through your Google Drive, and it actually brings you up, and you can filter it based off what the access file is. So it pulls up all your files, and it just gives you like, hey, this is sharing with everybody. This is sharing just within your organization. So you can also call a little bit quicker through the millions of files we all have in our Google Drive. Anyway, I just love that you said that, because you're right. Like, sometimes we forget that we've shared a file to everybody with a viewing link, and maybe you don't want to do that anymore, right? Sorry, I just got excited and I was like, I know a person, we know a person that has a tool that can help make that process a little easier. Anyway,
That is awesome.
yeah, and I promise to send you it, because again, I'd love for you to see, as a cybersecurity expert, like your take on that tool she created. And I bought it, and it's been the best money to just go through my stuff. So anyway, I love the extra tip. And I think, can I just say, like, right, back up and then back up again is like the best thing you can do for yourself and your business all along the way. I will say I am bad though. I don't really my external drive, just like, it holds my photos. That's about it, but no files. I think because I relied too much on my cloud stuff.
This is why you're the cause of so many catfish accounts, Selena. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Michelle, can she go with you? Can you take her with you when we're done with the show, Anna? Oh,
Just teasing. Okay, so Michelle, before we finish up our show today, I do want to hit on mindset and the mindset that you have to have when it comes to digital safety. So our third question today is, what's the role of mindset when it comes to feeling confident about digital safety? I can tell you from personal experience, I am not a confident digital safety person. Selena is in my life, and she is what I would call my big support in that arena. Like, Selena's, no, you do it this way. But my mind is not tech based. So you start throwing things out, just put it in the cloud. And I'm like, I don't understand what that means. Just tell me exactly the steps to do to save it how I need to save it, or do what I need to do. So as somebody who is not confident about digital safety in that sense, talk to us a little bit about where we need to be and really like the steps we can take to start to find that confidence in that area.
Yes, definitely. So going back to what was mentioned earlier about security being something that really ties to customers and customer trust. So I like to look at it from the perspective of everything you're doing in your organization is to help someone do something else. And a way to do that is to protect their information as well. And that requires you to just think through, hey, would I be okay with my data being processed this way? Would I be okay if I set up this account and knew that this person was clicking on every single email and entering login details? Would I be okay if this data was publicly exposed and I knew I had a line item there? And once you really start thinking about it from the perspective of how is this affecting our customers, you can think, okay, take some deep breaths because you're going to start panicking and think, oh, like you mentioned, this is like the movies. Everything horrible is possibly going to happen. That's not the case. Something could happen, but you can also breathe and think through what can I do? What are those small steps that are going to help mitigate the likelihood of a security breach or a security incident? And I think one of the biggest keys there too is to realize that it does impact everyone. So, really accepting that reality and finding a way to balance that acceptance with action, not fear, is going to be really key in this area. And I think generally anyone that can set up new tools or start changing their video platforms or even build a business with any aspect of technology, you're learning. You learned how to use social media. I just learned how to use this platform we're on right now. You all learned how to use the equipment for podcasting. That means you already have the biggest skill, which is curiosity and being able to learn. You just have to ask questions and seek out resources, and you'll be able to build at least the foundations that'll keep your company operating as you start growing and scaling.
I love that answer so much. Two things I loved about it. One, the put yourself in the mindset of if you were the customer, would you be okay? That's such a great way to just phrase everything you're doing. But
Mhm.
second, what you just said about you already have the basic skill of being curious, and now it just means asking questions. You can learn this, and it doesn't have to be fear based. I loved that. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah. No, I think it's just important to think about it. And I know that there's different types of people that come into play with business, right? They are very hands off anything that is digital. Therefore, then anything that goes with it, like cybersecurity, but it's just you have a key and you lock the door to your business when you leave your brick and mortar. You got to do the same thing for virtual, right? We just assume that because it's on my computer, it's very safe. Because there is curiosity in others, right? It just evolves and we got to grow with it too. So I love that you said just, I love that because I'm very curious, which is why I'm always down for a conversation like this, Michelle, because you learn more. And thank you for sharing all the things today. Like, I want to go
Right.
now and I want to do so many things after we finish this recording. I'm like, I just want to go. I want to go and double check everything now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I hope anybody listening is going to do that too. Just do one thing for your business today. One of the three tips that Michelle talked about, you know?
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do because I can right now think of two different applications I push to skip on that two-factor authentication. I'm going to go back and set that up today. So there
Yeah.
we go.
Awesome.
See, Michelle's job is done if she's not educating the world to just be a little bit safer. I guess is this where we have to move on to our
Yeah, we're going to,
toolkit
well,
and
it's a good
shifting?
thing.
Yeah,
We're
it
going
is
to
a good
share her
thing. It
toolkit,
is.
which I think is going to help a lot of people.
Yeah. So let me bring this up. Let's go here. And so Michelle, not Michelle, but Michelle knows what we are offering, but we'd love to talk about a toolkit that people should have kind of in their arsenal as business owners. And Michelle shared this right here, which is her articles. And I'm going to let Michelle tell you maybe what's a good article to start with on your site to educate themselves.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say anyone could start with what is a security breach and why does it matter? This article gives you an overview of kind of basic technology, how it's impacted by threat actors, and why all businesses should care. And it's not in a terrifying way. So it's more in a, if you're curious, you want to understand how this actually relates to your business, this is where you start. And it can give you some insight into really going out there and asking questions yourself of your organization.
Mm. Okay, you
Ooh,
heard it here, guys. Just,
yeah. Get
I
your
mean,
curious mindset going and jump
yes,
onto that blog, right?
yes.
Because that's going to give you like, it's almost like a quick audit of where you stand, is what it sounds like, where you can be like, oh, I hadn't even thought about that, but now I am thinking about that.
Yeah, you're like, oh, Michelle would be so disappointed in me right now if
she,
she saw how my
she
audit
would.
went.
She would,
So,
but I'm not sharing any of those secrets, not especially not where everyone can hear them. This is public.
so, I know.
As we jump on to Michelle's contact, just remember, everyone, you can find all of this information on our blog resources page. And we always do a blog resource for every podcast guest. You can always find the link to her blogs there.
Yeah. So, Michelle, tell everybody where people can continue the conversation with you. Where do you like to hang out digitally?
I'm really big on LinkedIn, so I have my LinkedIn that's slash Michelle Robleto. I also have Security Raptors, so if you go to my page, I can share the link. But it's exciting because every week on Wednesday mornings, I post the what's been happening in cybersecurity for the last week, as well as tips you can implement for a small business to protect yourself. They're not huge tips that require a lot of effort, but you can go back and look at the historical post or just start following it and really get some insight on what should I be caring about. And you can always reach out, email or message me on LinkedIn and ask questions.
Ooh, I love that. You guys, I don't know. You really should have a cybersecurity buddy in your pocket that you can feel comfortable with. And honestly, this is our first meeting with Michelle, and I'm so happy that we've met her and now she's kind of part of our community and network here. And I'm already connected with her. So anyway,
I know, right? And I also think, as a small business owner, if you've been thinking about cybersecurity, Michelle's a good place to start. Like,
100%.
hey, have I done what I need to do? Have I covered just the basics of what I need
Yeah.
to be able to give that thumbs up on, yes, my business is cyber secure.
I agree. I already have an idea and I want to talk to Michelle when we go offline. And hopefully, Michelle will say yes to this next step idea that I have. But this is, Michelle, where I'm not allowed to talk anymore because I can get chitty chatty and not end the conversation. This is why we're ish. So I'm going to put on some Oscar music and I'm just going to close out the show. But thank you so much for being here and sharing amazing information that is needed across the board with every business. Every
Yeah.
business.
Yes, Michelle. We just wanted to say thank you so much for being our guest today on the 15-ish minute coffee chat. The kinds of tips that you provided today, I think, are applicable across industry, across sector, across every small business owner, small, medium, and large business owner, actually, that I've ever met. So I really appreciate you being willing to share your expertise with them today. As always, for our listening audience, you can find Anna and Selena at annaandselena.com. It's really hard to remember that website, guys. annaandselena.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn, which is where we also like to hang out. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. Or you can always find the 15-ish minute coffee chat on any of your favorite podcast platforms. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and follow. And we will see you at the next 15-ish minute coffee chat. Thank you and goodbye.
Aloha. Oh my gosh. Did they actually make it to the outro music?
I told you this would work, Selena.
Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in to today's show. Now head on over to annaandselena.com to listen to more of the 15-ish minute coffee chat. We've got over 100 episodes, all geared to making your businesses more fun and profitable.